We are now talking to my high huddle Broncos and NFL analyst Lance Sanderson. Lance, what's up, man?
Not a whole lot, fellas. Sorry about the delay and not being here earlier when I was supposed to be on.
It's okay.
I had a family emergency. My son fell into the coffee table.
Oh, jeez.
And it was not good there for a minute. But I do appreciate you guys for having me on again
100%.
here on the Sports Loudmouth. It's great to talk to you, Arrow and PD. It's always great to be with you guys. Here to talk some Broncos. What's going on, fellas?
Well, let's get into the Broncos. I mean, Bradley Chubb, a fantastic defensive player, a guy that they drafted, 4 years ago? A guy that everybody thought was the next Von Miller there, a guy that they were going to build their defense around. One bad season, and they decided to part ways with him. They decided not to re-sign him, maybe because it's a Russell Wilson contract. Maybe they couldn't figure out how they could fit that contract when it comes to the offseason. What were your thoughts when they made that trade?
Honestly, it was a little bit bittersweet. You never want to see a player of the caliber of Bradley Chubb move on from a defense that's playing as well as they are. But when you look at Bradley Chubb for the 5th overall pick back in 2018, and he's never really quite lived up to that billing. I mean, 26 total sacks over 4 seasons. He's missed a lot of time with a torn ACL. He had another injury this last season with bone spurs in his ankles and everything like that. It's rough to see a player that caliber. 11.7% pressure rate this season, and was really playing at a high level for this Broncos defense. To see him go really kind of hurts, but at the same time, he's never really lived up to the billing as that number 5 overall pick. And for the Broncos to get back into the first round this next season, to be able to rebuild that team around Russell Wilson with Nathaniel Hackett in tow, it's bittersweet, but at the same time, I think it's the right move for the Broncos to move on from him. They really like what they're seeing out of Bradley Chubb. They really like what they're seeing out of Randy Gregory, even though he's not healthy right now. He was incredibly effective over the first few weeks of the season. So to move on from Chubb, it hurts, but at the same time, this is a good move for the future, and they can potentially go on and rebuild that offensive line that has been leaky at times. Let's just be honest here. They haven't really been good at the right tackle position. Starting Cam Fleming there. Cam Fleming's now starting at left tackle for the Broncos because Garrett Bowles is out. Lloyd Cushenberry has been an abject failure at the center position. Dalton Reisner has not been good. So to get some draft capital back in this team after trading for Russell Wilson, I think it's the right move for them to move on from Bradley Chubb at this particular point, because while they're 3-5, it's been rough sledding for this Broncos team. So they've got to try to figure out some answers, and moving on from a player like Bradley Chubb sucks, but you're going to be able to build and move forward with the future.
Yeah. So my question is, with the front 7 now, obviously Vic Fangio helped that out a lot with the outside rushing blitz schemes, but now they didn't have that anymore, and their defense was still playing pretty well, and Bradley Chubb a big part of that. I mean, where do they go now in terms of schematically on that defensive side to keep it going? Because that secondary is really good, and now the pass rush losing Chubb, what do you think is the best approach?
Until they get Baron Browning and Randy Gregory back healthy, they're really going to rely on Dre'Mont Jones, who I kind of have a hot take here on this one. If Dre'Mont Jones can continue to produce at the level that he's been producing without Bradley Chubb, you're talking about a player that can be a top 5, maybe top 3 interior defensive lineman in the entire NFL. ProFootballFocus.com and narrowed down the parameters on interior defensive linemen to 80% of 271 total pass rush snaps. Dre'Mont Jones is number 1 in pressures. He's number one in sacks, and has a pass rush productivity of 7.1%. That's number 3 in the NFL. Like this guy is going to be a force to be reckoned with this defense. So long as if he can produce at that kind of a level without Bradley Chubb rushing on the outside, he's already without Baron Browning and Randy Gregory. He's dealing with Nick Bonito and Jonathan Cooper as his other edge defenders, and there's no true other interior pass rush threat that they have along the defensive line except for DJ Jones, who we all know is a great run defender, but he doesn't really offer much in terms of the pass rush productivity. Dre'Mont Jones is really the answer that the Broncos are going to have to lean on moving forward for the rest of the season until they get Gregory back, which it sounds like he's not going to be back for another few weeks. Browning might come back in a couple of weeks, maybe after the bye. We might see him play against the Titans, but at the same time, you're talking about Baron Browning, a player that's never been a full-time edge rusher, except for this season. So Dre'Mont Jones is really the true answer, and we're going to see if he can live up to the billing that I think that he can. He's playing at a very high level right now. So if he can continue that, it's not a far stretch to say he could become a top 5 interior defensive lineman in this league.
We are talking to Mile High Huddle Broncos and NFL analyst Lance Sanderson. It's so funny, and I wouldn't say it's funny, but Jerry Jeudy has been on everybody's radar. And some people thought that Jerry Jeudy was going to be traded at the trade deadline. We heard the Giants. We've heard quite a few other teams. We heard the Chiefs for a little while. Even the Cowboys' name has been brought up in some trade conversation because they need another wide receiver as well. Why is it that the Broncos are giving up on this guy? Now, I believe they'll trade him in the offseason. I understand that he has not been the player they thought he was going to be when they drafted him from Alabama. But nevertheless, he's still a fantastic player. He's one of the better route runners in the league. What is the reason why they've given up on this guy?
I don't necessarily know that they've given up on him. Like the last 2 weeks, he's got 15 total catches for 160 some odd yards or something like that. He's got a touchdown pass as well. The little shovel pass forward this last week against the Jacksonville Jaguars. I don't think that they've necessarily given up on him, but I do believe that they've put him kind of in an awkward situation with losing Tim Patrick. Tim Patrick was the number 2 wide receiver for this team coming into the year, and Jeudy was supposed to be playing primarily out of the slot. So they're trying to put him into a role that he was not necessarily designed to be in this offense. Losing Tim Patrick for this offense was just incredible. The torn ACL early in training camp. So they've got to kind of reshuffle things. The fact that the other part you have to kind of take into this is the fact that KJ Hamler is coming back, and they were trying to play him in the slot right now. He's coming off of a torn ACL, and he had hip surgery on the same leg. I believe it was the Jets game last season where he tore his ACL. He also dislocated his hip. So they're putting him in on short time coming in off of that torn ACL, and they're also moving Jeudy into a new role. They're just trying to figure out the best way to kind of utilize that. And after watching the Jets game and after watching this Jaguars game, I think they've kind of figured out the way that they're going to utilize Jerry Jeudy to be a little bit more effective in this offense. While he was a big speculated trade target, and I know for a fact that the Green Bay Packers called on Jerry Jeudy to try to pry him away from the Broncos. They just weren't allowed, they weren't able to offer enough to pry him away. I think that Jeudy moving forward is really going to be the answer for this Broncos offense because, like you said, Errol, he is a great route runner. He does a great job of separating. He's averaging 3.4 yards of separation right now per ESPN Next Gen stats. Like, he's getting open. We just got to get Russell Wilson to deliver him the football on a more consistent basis. And I think that we're starting to see that here over the last couple of games.
So with that versatility now, him being able to play both in the slot and the outside, what do you think is the best ways for Nathaniel Hackett and Russell Wilson to be able to adjust him into that game plan to justify that kind of thing? Because he has a lot to prove now, him being on the last year of his deal next year, too, in order to either increase the trade value or make him a keeper there. Because Cortland Sutton's pretty set in stone, but again, the rest of the receiving room, again, could they get something out of it?
I think the best way to kind of incorporate him is just continue to use him on the slant routes, continue to use him on the crossing routes and stuff like that they're using with the speed that he has, the separation ability that he has. It's not only with the straight line speed ability, it's also with the quick jitterbug route running type of stuff that they're utilizing with him right now. I think that a better way to really try to incorporate Jerry Jeudy is to incorporate another young player that they have as a pass catcher in Greg Dulcich, who's coming back, that tight end that they have from UCLA, where what they're doing with him right now, especially over the this last week against the Jacksonville Jaguars, is they're leaking him out of the flat a little bit, and they're using him on wheel routes, and they're getting him out on the sideline. They're stacking him with KJ Hamler and utilizing the vertical ability of Dulcich with the vertical ability, the straight line speed, the take the top off speed of a KJ Hamler, and they're trying to get multiple in their looks, and they're putting Jeudy, Hamler, and and Jerry Jeudy on the same side of the field, and they're utilizing multiple different angles and trying to create new looks and stuff like that. The problem here, and I agree with what you were saying, Errol, before we came out of the break, is Russell Wilson here he's not playing at a very high level right now. And I don't necessarily think that it's all on Nathaniel Hackett. The Broncos are scheming up looks to get these players open, and Russell Wilson's just not hitting them. he's got to get better in his reads pre-snap. He's got to get better in his reads post-snap, and he's got to get better in his delivery of the football and getting these players that are schemed wide open all of the time. Like, seriously, there are wide open receivers in this offense all of the time, and Russell Wilson's just not hitting them. So I think that it comes down to a little bit more of a simplification of the offense in general, scheming some more targets open for Jerry Jeudy, but also utilizing the players that are around him to get him better quality looks.
I really believe that the Seattle Seahawks offense is built for Russell Wilson. And you see Geno Smith, you see how he's flourishing in that offense now that Russ is gone, and he goes to Nathaniel Hackett. He's running the Green Bay Packers offense, and you could see that it's a lot more entailed in the work. That's what makes Aaron Rodgers so special, is that his pre-reads and understanding the field and seeing the field the way he does, as good as he does. I think the Broncos thought that bringing in Nathaniel Hackett and making the trade for Russell Wilson, he is the same type of quarterback as Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers is on a whole different level than everybody else right now. Even with this bad Green Bay Packer team, and they're bad, okay? This is a horrible offense. They have nobody to throw to, but he's still finding ways to keep his team into the game. I feel bad for him because they didn't give him enough, but that is his fault because he took the $50 million a year. So you look at Russ and you look at the position that he is in. They gave him a $250 million contract. They overpaid for him. He's the highest paid quarterback right now in the NFL. And you look at the big picture. What is the big picture for this Bronco team as far as what you've seen? Is Nathaniel Hackett in this picture moving forward?
Man, that's such a hard question to answer because I'm very frustrated with Nathaniel Hackett in terms of his in-game management, his in-game decision-making and stuff like that. But at the same time, when you look at this offense and when you look at it when it's ticking and when you look at the quarterback play in general, the offensive line, when they hold up, they give Russell Wilson time to deliver the football. It comes down to the players on the field because, like I said, the designs are nice. They're scheming these players open. They're opening up opportunities for explosive plays all over the field. They're just not executing at a level that they should be with the quarterback the caliber of Russell Wilson. Is that because Russell Wilson is falling off? I don't necessarily believe that. Is that because Russell Wilson doesn't agree with what the play calls or the designs are supposed to be? Maybe. Is it because Nathaniel Hackett's a bad play caller, bad play sequencer? Like, sure. Like, there's multiple different facets that go into this. I don't necessarily know that I have the correct answer to you on this one. However, what I do know is that this team is bought into what Nathaniel Hackett has, like what he brings to the table. He's a player-friendly coach. He designs very well. He makes it easy for these players to kind of adapt and incorporate, and he does what these players do very well. I think where it boils down to is the fact that you have Russell Wilson who wants to win from the pocket. He wants to win passing the football rather than running the football. He wanted out of Seattle because Pete Carroll wants to control the football. He wants to design easy pass routes. He wants to take some deep shots and win defensively. Russell Wilson wants to win with his arm. He wants to be the center focus of the offense. And quite honestly, it's not working. We're seeing it right now. I mean, you're watching a team that they thrive when they run under center. When they run under center, their offensive efficiency scores go through the roof. When they play out a shotgun, it's predictable. You can understand exactly what's coming in front of you. While the designs are opening everybody up, Russell Wilson's just not seeing it. So to me, that leads me to believe that Russell Wilson, first off, is not quite comfortable with the offense that's around him. They're not doing what the scheme is actually designed to have them do. And three, they just need to execute better with what they're given based on the fact that Russell Wilson's just not playing very well.
So big injury was Javonte Williams, happened in the second week of the season.
Yeah.
A young running back that was looking pretty good that first game against Seattle. Probably was their best offensive player in that game. Both long-term and the adjustments you've seen this season so far, what do you think that impact will have on Javonte Williams with his future and what the Broncos have had to adjust to now with Melvin Gordon's issues, Latavius Murray they brought in now? So what do you think about all that?
Man, Javonte Williams was my guy. I was so excited to watch him run behind this offensive line because what we were tabbed as, what we were sold coming out of the Nathaniel Hackett hiring was we were going to see more outside zone, see more play action, boot action, stuff like that, and we're just not seeing that. So that again goes back to what does Russell Wilson want to run? Is it Nathaniel Hackett not calling those designs, stuff like that? Regardless. Javonte, that injury is so killer for this running game because his physical ability of getting up to the second level and running through guys and breaking tackles, you're sorely going to miss that. With Melvin Gordon, I don't predict him being on this team even through this season. If I'm truly honest, I don't think that he's going to be there with the acquisition of Chase Edmonds. And Latavius Murray seemingly being a more trusted running back behind this offensive line right now, more effective running back, if we're being honest as well. The running back room right now is a mess because with Javonte Williams, it sounds like there's more than just a torn ACL in there. There's a torn PCL. I think there's LCL damage in there as well. You're talking 11, 12 month injury on a running back that's a physical bruiser kind of runner that really wants to be physical at the point of attack. That pushes him out into the middle of next season. There's a lot of questions about this Broncos running game moving forward. And unless they're going to go to wide zone, which fits what Chase Edmonds wants to do, and quite honestly fits what Melvin Gordon wants to do, I don't predict this running game getting any wheels anytime soon.